First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, everyone. This is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. Appreciate all of you joining us wherever you found us. Thanks for doing so. Remember that we're here, and this show is coming to you live from our digital desk here at the Fox 12 Oregon headquarters. As you can see, the newsroom is behind me. But since I'm at the digital desk, it's kind of a good time to talk about tech. And what we're going to be discussing today is the Oregon Technology Awards. Now, for 39 years, these awards have honored local tech companies doing really amazing things in their fields. And it is put on by the Technology Association of Oregon. So I wanted to find out more about these awards. And so today we're going to play some of my interviews surrounding that, finding out about some of the companies that are being nominated, some of these really, really cool things that they're doing with technology, and again, all locally. But to start off, I wanted to talk to the president of the Technology Association of Oregon, who puts on the awards, to find out more about them, about the history of them, and really what goes into putting these on. So, as part of our series of interviews today here for this, we're going to play that one first. So, let's go to that right now.
Thanks so much for having me. Glad to be here.
Now, Skip, one thing I just mentioned there, 39 years of the Oregon Technology Awards. So can you walk us through a little bit of the history of this? For anybody who doesn't know what this is all about, how did this all start?
Yeah, the event's been around for a long time, as you point out, and multiple organizations have been responsible for the event over that time. At TAO, we've been stewards of the event, we like to say, for about the last 10 years or so. And there's a long history of celebrating innovation in Oregon with this event. Past winners include leading companies in semiconductor and device. Some of those include Intel, Mentor Graphics, Lear, Pixelworks, Packstar. And then more recently, we've had quite a few high-growth software companies that are kind of brand names locally. Navex Global, Viewpoint, Cloudability, Elemental Technologies, Approve, ZoomInfo, et cetera.
Those are all some pretty famous names when it comes to technology, especially, you mentioned Intel, Elemental, all those ones.
Yep.
So talk to us about, the awards themselves. What is the process like for a company to get nominated? How does that even happen?
Yeah, so the process for selecting finalists and also eventually winners is pretty rigorous. It lasts about 6 months before the event. And we have selection committees of past Executive of the Year winners and Lifetime Achievement Award winners, committees of subject matter experts that are experts in financial performance, evaluating companies' product offerings, and also community impact. And these committees have to defend their selections of the finalists and winners among their peers. So it's a pretty rigorous process.
So for companies that are looking to, get involved, so they're nominated by these committees, talk to us a little bit about that as far as the individual companies, like where do they kind of fit into this?
Yeah, so we have different sort of award categories ranging from everything from pre-revenue, so companies that are just starting out, to companies that are well north of 100 million in annual recurring revenue. Some publicly traded companies as well, the upper tiers. And companies can get either nominated by the committees, or we have a nomination process that kicks off typically around the beginning of each year, where companies can actually put together applications and submit.
So what do you think it is, with all of these amazing companies that are around here and all these people working in different various fields of technology, what is it about Oregon in this region that really, helps these companies to keep going and forming?
Yeah, I would say that, we've got a really well-known kind of quality of life here, which I think attracts a lot of technologists who work hard, and then they like to enjoy things like the environment, the outdoors, great food, great, beer and wine, all the reasons why a lot of people choose Oregon. And increasingly, especially since the start of the pandemic, with a lot of companies being distributed and decentralized in terms of their workforce, it's an opportunity for Oregon to capitalize on that vaunted quality of life, because increasingly companies are going to invest where talent is locating and staying. And I will say, though, that we've got some more recent headwinds in the last couple of years with, the fact that Multnomah County and Oregon as a whole have started to lose population for the first time in many decades. And so that's something for us to pay attention to and make sure that we're also competing for households and businesses in a way that maybe we haven't in the past or haven't had to, making sure that our environment is affordable, that we are delivering really superlative services to kind of justify the relatively high investment people are making and just being able to be here.
When you look at it from, from that point, from talking about the investment, is there any particular field of technology that seems to be really invested more in here in Oregon and regionally than another one?
Yeah, one thing that's been intriguing that's reflected in the makeup of some of the finalist companies this year is we've seen a lot of growth in recent years in health technology. So we have quite a few companies that are in that space as part of the finalists this year. And that's also reflected in our membership. Over the last few years, we now have the greatest concentration of new members are those in health technology. That's followed closely by cybersecurity and identity management companies. And so again, you look at some of the big issues of the day, those are right up there.
Talking about the membership, actually, just taking a step from the Oregon Technology Awards to the Technology Association of Oregon, what does it take for a company to join TAO? What's involved in that, and what are some of the advantages?
Yeah, so we have membership that spans very early stage 1 or 2 person companies on up to the largest tech companies in the world, as well as increasingly tech departments or innovation teams at large employers. Companies like Nike or Greenbrier or Portland General Electric. Increasingly, every company is a tech company, at least in part these days, or they should be, is my argument. And so we have opportunities for companies and price points at all different sizes for companies to get involved and take advantage of our services. For the very earliest stage companies, those with fewer than 500,000 in annual recurring revenue, membership is free. We've done that to recognize the fact that those companies are often cash strapped. And not until they get north of that figure can we really expect them to be able to have enough people on their team to invest the time to get real value out of the association. So early on, we help connect them to sources of capital, early customers, and give them visibility. And this Tech Awards event is one big opportunity we provide to some of those early stage companies in particular, where for free, just by virtue of having a successful company, they can get some great visibility and take advantage of a great platform to, get access to investors and potential employees and early customers, perhaps.
Well, looking at the awards this year, it's coming up here pretty soon. You've already got the nominees in, like you said, people can check those out. What are you most looking forward to for this year personally, and what do you think everybody else should be paying attention to?
Yeah, one thing that every year, whether it's this year or others, I've been doing this almost 11 years now, and each year I'm really excited about the event because it's a great celebration of all the hard work that the employees at these companies have put in. And also our tech community tends to be pretty heads down during the year. They're quietly building products, serving customers all over the world. And this is an opportunity to bring everyone together under one roof. And people look around and like, wow, there's a lot of really great companies and great people here. And it's a way to collectively celebrate those achievements. And we have such a great collection and high caliber companies here. It's a fun event every year.
Well, Skip, I want to thank you very much for spending some time to talk about this too. Any final thing you want to send, a message out there to any company that's maybe looking to start up or kind of in the beginning phases to let them know about that they should know about with TAO?
Yeah, I would say that especially for companies or people that are thinking about doing a startup, I would say there's no better time that I've seen. I've been doing this 15 years to start a company, right? You have a ton of talent hitting the streets right now. And you also have, I think, an opportunity to build a company focused on some of the biggest problems that our society faces, whether it's climate tech, healthcare issues, et cetera. And what better place to do it than Oregon?
Well, Skip, thank you very much for some time on this. Congratulations on all these years of the awards and you being the steward there with TAO for this new era of it. And looking forward to seeing who wins.
Awesome. Me too.
All right, there we go. So that was Skip Newberry, who is the president and CEO of the Technology Association of Oregon, talking to him about the awards themselves. Now, after that, I thought it would be a good idea to talk to some of the companies, some of the people who are making these products locally that are deserving of awards or getting recognition. And, again, really focusing on that local side of things. There's some really great technology here, and it needs a little bit of a showcase. So that's what I did. Interviewed a couple of companies. I'm going to tell you this, though, before I play these. Now, naturally, these are pre-recorded interviews. I think I've worn this shirt here to Fox 12 Oregon like twice in my entire time being here. Happened to be the other time was when I did both of these interviews. Didn't realize that today. So just assume I did that on purpose and that this is the only shirt I ever wear here. So just go in with that. But I'm going to get this pulled up here. So we're going to be talking to Elias Stahl of Hilos. And what they make are 3D printed shoes that are specifically made on demand. They're good for the environment. He goes into all the technology side of things for that. So we're going to go to that here and bear with me. We'll pull that right up. Hilos, and I'm joined right now by the co-founder and CEO, Elias Stahl. Elias, thank you very much for being here with us. Before we get into the product itself, maybe let's go back to the beginning a little bit and talk about the founding of this company, what your inspiration was to even get into this.
Sure. Well, first, thanks for having me, Greg. Now, Hilos began with a recognition that how we make things matters. And prior to Hilos, I was working with some of the best manufacturing companies in the world, supply chain companies, and I saw just the massive amount of overproduction and waste that we're currently subsidizing as customers today. I'll give you an example. 24 billion shoes are made every year, and 1 out of 5 goes straight to the landfill. Now, brands are spending $20 billion every year making shoes that no one will buy. And that's because, as an industry, we massively overproduce. Every brand is in the position of missing a sale from being out of stock or overproducing and sending to landfill. And today, there's new technologies that, when brought together, enable us to radically reinvent categories like footwear, ground zero for waste and overproduction, so that we can make on demand only after a customer orders and take back at end of life for a second life.
I think that's a fascinating way to go about it, and certainly some big statistics there to think about too, of how much waste is going into this. I think we'll come back around to that, but talking about the product itself, 3D printing a shoe, for one individual thing, that is certainly disruptive, in accordance to the fact, we're so used to how we order things right now. So walk me through that process. How does one order a 3D printed shoe?
Well, back up and talk about what kind of 3D printing we're talking about, because most of you have probably seen 3D printers, at the library or a high school shop class, and are thinking of these, FDM hobby printers that are really great for playing around with, but these aren't the kind of printers we're talking about. We're talking about industrially scaled powder bed printing technology that looks about the size of a small Volkswagen Beetle and is truly industrial scale and very high performance. And what we've been able to do is radically reinvent products custom tailored for manufacturing given this new technology. So the ethos of Hilos and our founding principle is that if you're going to bring back footwear, apparel, any of these industries that have long ago left our shores, you're not going to be able to make them the same way they were made before. You're going to have to radically reinvent them and use automated generative technologies and digital manufacturing so they can be made locally with very little labor and a high degree of performance. This was our first concept line launched into market. This was actually on, I think, Fox 12's show about a year ago with IO. And this Georgia heel won, among other awards, the GFA Award, the A-Design Award, and the Glossy Award for Most Disruptive. And this is a 3D printed shoe, though it doesn't look it, that has performance and flex unlike anything you've seen. And a lot of what Hilos does is develop ways to create snap-together assembly so that it may look like a sandal on the outside. It's actually completely different DNA on the inside. It's made without glue and able to be assembled rapidly in market with very low labor. That's the kind of thing that you can only do with 3D printing.
How long does it take to print a shoe? I'm just curious.
So these industrial printers print many pairs at a time, and they work constantly, every hour printing dozens of pairs, so that several times a day, new loads are coming out, being processed, assembled, and drop shipped directly to the customer.
I want to go back to you talking about, what this saves, now understanding a little bit about how it's made. You have all these machines, working constantly, creating that. You mentioned all the savings that it does as far as not just, waste of product, but also just the product itself. I know for environmentally, it's very friendly. Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. So after launching our own concept lines into market, we had brands reaching out saying, we have been trying to make shoes recyclable. It's very difficult. Most glues are cemented together and very hard to disassemble. We didn't know we could also make locally. Tell us how we can work together. The first brand we launched in partnership was a brand called Helm. And if you go to helmboots.com, you can see the Emmett slip-on mule is powered by our technology and fulfilled on demand locally. And that mule became the focus of a case study with Yale. And we compared the entire environmental footprint opposed to legacy manufacturing and found that we cut carbon in half and water usage by 99%. And that's the power of on-demand. We also saw that by producing less to begin with, but allowing a brand like Helm to never miss a sale, we could allow a brand to increase profit while reducing waste, which was a magic moment for that brand as well as I think the industry.
Well, you talked about, getting into this and not knowing if you're able to do this locally, how you were going to go about, even you have the concept, you have the idea, and obviously it all came together. But what does it mean to be doing that here, locally in this region?
So I think Portland, Oregon, and the Pacific Northwest has an incredible opportunity to stand not only as the capital for footwear, apparel, and outdoor goods, which we clearly are today, but as the center for the technologies for that new supply chain to come together. We've got printing companies like 3D Systems and HP. We've got Autodesk. We are ground zero for some of the new technologies that will disrupt and radically transform how and where we make things. And we have a unique opportunity in Portland in particular to not only be the leader for outdoor footwear and apparel today, but to lead its future across global supply chains.
I love that, working with other companies that are already here too, to build on that. Talking about disrupting though, you are nominated for an Oregon Technology Award for Most Disruptive Tech. Talk to us, about what that means for you personally and for the company.
Well, we're honored. We've really seen ourselves as a very community-focused company. We're based in Old Town, Portland, and we've been here since the beginning of the pandemic. We're very, very collaborative by nature, and we realized that we wouldn't have come so far so fast without standing on the shoulders of giants. We recently announced a funding round that had some incredible leaders in the industry. This is Eric Sprunk, the former CEO of Nike, Greg Bowie, a former SVP of Global Manufacturing Supply Chains at Nike, participate. And we realized that the partnerships and the relationships we have with brands and innovators in this community have allowed us to really be disruptive and to think about, if you were to make footwear completely differently, how would you do it? And that only happens in Portland. So for us, being nominated for this award is incredibly rewarding and validating, and it's an honor. But we see it as a further step in a continued mission to build a community of change makers in Portland and Oregon and the Pacific Northwest that will allow, there's trends in climate tech, there's trends in manufacturing technology, and they're all converging right now in Portland around outdoor and footwear. And that is a really exciting place for us to be, and an exciting place for us to show up in awards like this.
Well, Elias, just, last question here, going forward, and just for everybody out there who's watching this and maybe learning about Hilos, what's the one thing that you want everybody to take away from this, to know about your company?
That the future of footwear is on demand and circular. It's made locally, and it's with 3D printing. And that we couldn't do this without incredible collaboration and partnership, and coming from the community we do in Portland, and are so grateful for that. And that there are so many ways to be involved right now, whether it's, we have our own concept lines that you can buy and try for yourself. We have an archive sale going on right now. You can go to hilos.co and snap up some of the last of our first generation of footwear. We're very collaborative and love working with other parts of the community, be them academic, multilateral, private, and public. We have very close relationships across the board. And we're growing very quickly and constantly hiring. So if you're interested in being a part of this future, please reach out, connect at hilos.co. We'd love to hear from you. Really, it's going to take a village to completely change the way we make.
Well, Elias, thanks so much for taking some time to talk to us. Congratulations on all the success and the nomination, for the award. And it's really exciting seeing all this happen here, locally in this region, like you said, collaboratively with all the other companies, working with you to make this amazing product. So thanks so much for taking some time. Really appreciate it. And best of luck.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And thanks for having me on the show.
All right, there we go. Again, talking about the Oregon Technology Awards, so appreciate some time there with Elias from Hilos, talking about the 3D printed shoes, and I think something else that was, we reiterated it there at the end of the interview, but just the collaboration between local companies making something together and everybody kind of filling in a piece of the puzzle. Definitely a cool story there. So I do have one more interview with another nominee for the Oregon Technology Awards, and this is with Ryan Barnes from a company called Stetson, and what they make are really high-tech helmets, specifically for construction sites, but they can be used for other things as well. And the story of how that happened and why he decided to get into that industry is really, really interesting as well. So we talked to Ryan about that, about their product, where they're going. So let's go ahead and get that one up now. Oregon. Thanks everybody for joining us today. We're talking about technology companies based here in Oregon, Southwest Washington, the region that are doing really cool things and getting nominated for Oregon Technology Awards. And in the Rising Star category, we have Stetson. And Stetson is a pretty fascinating company with a fascinating origin. And we're going to talk about that right now. I'm joined by the CEO, Ryan Barnes. Ryan, thanks for being here with us. So much to talk about with your company, but really, I think going back to this origin story that you have, I was reading about it. It's really kind of fascinating how you got into this. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that. What transpired to lead you to form this company?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've always been passionate about head injuries since I suffered one ski racing at the age of 16 and then went on to work for different ski companies in the action sports space, and most recently a head protection company from Sweden. A contractor in Portland approached me, and we were talking and led me down the path of doing some research on the hard hat. And I just was, shocked that there hadn't been a whole lot of innovation. There's lots of great technologies and materials out there that can absorb energy and address rotational issues and others, and digital technology you can integrate into products. And it just seemed like there was an opportunity. And I've always been kind of an entrepreneurial spirited person, and this seemed like an opportunity that I wanted to take a chance on. So
did you have, obviously the accident that you had certainly probably spurred some interest in there, but did you have any kind of experience with helmets or anything, helmets or protective gear like that beforehand?
Working with Hawk, the Swedish company, that they made primarily head protection for snow sports cycling, along with other protection for back, knee, elbow, joint protection for mountain biking.
So, taking this knowledge, this opportunity comes to the forefront, and you mentioned that some things that you were surprised that maybe weren't happening with the tech of this protective gear before kind of came about. Can you talk about the gear itself and what is it that makes it stand out and different from what you've seen before?
Yeah, the big topic in the industry the last year is this transition from hard hats to helmets. And the reality is that it's just a slower to adopt older industry that has been relying on the technology of a hard hat, which was designed 100 years ago to protect you from falling objects. And the main difference is the types of things that we're trying to protect workers against now is, falling objects is one, but slips, trips, and falls are one of the main, from 6 feet or less, are one of the main results of head injuries in construction and other industrial trades. And typically the hard hat doesn't have a chin strap, so that's a big change from a standard hard hat to a safety style helmet, is to have a chin strap so it's more secure. And they're more comfortable. Most of them have some type of foam, EPS foam, or different honeycomb structures to absorb energy. and you can wear them all day without feeling like you want to take it off all the time.
And so, as you started down that road, talking about just specifically the tech side of it, and the design of it and that functionality, you mentioned that it has, more foam inside. What were some of the different processes that you had to figure out in order to get this thing made?
Well, I mean, before we hit the drawing board, we interviewed workers and safety directors here locally in Portland to understand if we were to do this, design a helmet, what would it need to look and what functionality. And number one was the typical climbing style helmet that you saw in the market 3 years ago. Didn't have any type of brim. Definitely very much inspired from rock climbing helmets. And so we wanted to integrate some brims, especially being from the Pacific Northwest. So we have, a little bit of a brim in the front and a bigger one in the rear, which we call a drip edge, mainly for rain. And then after that, it was the three different technologies. So we have a material, a tubular honeycomb material called choroid, which absorbs energy about 65% more efficiently than your standard EPS foam. So we use EPS in our helmet, but we have several channels where we've taken that away and we reinforce it with choroid. Secondly, we put a rotational technology to address angled and oblique impacts, basically creating a little bit of a slip plane between your head and the helmet, which is critical in certain angled impacts. Most of them aren't similar to the type of just straight on linear testing that happens in the lab. And third was an NFC chip technology, which can house your emergency medical profile. So things like blood type, diabetic, allergies, and emergency contacts that first responders can access when seconds matter.
That's incredible. So that's all in, every person's personalized, I guess, helmet. They have all that info in there.
If they choose to use it and upload it. So it's just a matter of activating the app and putting the information in there, and then you upload it to the helmet.
I mean, that's got to do a lot especially, if somebody is involved in a bad accident, that kind of information could be critical to have it that quick. So I'd imagine, the percentage of people that can get help quicker, that certainly goes up with something like that.
Absolutely. And there can be hundreds, if not thousands of people and multiple subcontractors on a major job site. So a lot of people don't know who people are, and being able to get that information quickly is really tough to do when it's in a filing cabinet back in the office.
That's incredible. Talking about the company itself, based here in the Northwest, part of this, talk about, being a company in Oregon and what that's been like for you.
Yeah, I mean, Oregon's my home. I've moved away a few times, but I grew up here. I graduated from the University of Oregon. There's a lot of tech here, not so much in PPE or the helmet space, but there's a lot of tech here, a lot of amazing designers here, and a lot of resources here. So I think it's a great place to be. Ideally, down the road, we'll have some type of distribution more central to the U.S. or on the East Coast as we scale and grow. So to make that, and our long-term goal is to have manufacturing here somewhere stateside in the next 18 months. So we're working on that right now.
Looking at the award nominee, so you're nominated in the Rising Star category there for the Oregon Technology Awards. Talk to us about what that means for you and for you personally and for the company.
Yeah, I mean, it's a super exciting, and I feel like it's a humbling and prestigious nomination. We're up with two other amazing finalists, and as a product company, I think, a lot of what you see, currently is a lot of tech companies, and, to be a product company is a whole nother kind of animal. You got to build lots and lots of inventory and be ready when the bubble hopefully bursts. So there's a lot of upfront challenges and risk, and how do we scale with that growth and do that here and, find the right people. But Oregon hopefully will be my home, and it's exciting to be a part of the Oregon Technology Awards.
For everybody out there, who's learning about your company and what you do, what's the one thing maybe that you'd like to communicate to them or to make sure that people know about with your company?
Yeah, I mean, we're mission driven. We stand behind our mission, and we know to bring the best technology possible to the industrial trades. And we all believe firmly that we will save lives. We believe we have the best product on the market, and we're going to continue to innovate it. We do make changes. We are launching new products this year, which we're super excited about. We're launching a cooling technology because heat stress is a huge thing in the industry. So we're really proud of how we really truly believe we're saving lives, and we'll, have stories, unfortunately, people in hospital beds with a cracked helmet that, the doctor says this helmet saved my life, which, that's what I'm passionate about. It's not just creating another widget that, is commoditized. We truly believe that innovation is key, and taking the industrial market, which, like I said earlier, is a little slow to adopt, and I think a little bit, behind the times, and elevate the PPE that they have access to.
Well, Ryan, thank you, very much for spending some time with us to talk about this. I think that's really incredible what you're doing with the company, with Stetson, and everything you have going there. And congratulations on the nomination. Best of luck going forward. And it sounds like you have a lot of really great things on the horizon.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate talking to you.
All right. So again, that was Ryan from Stetson talking about the Oregon Technology Awards and their company. I think that cooling technology would be very beneficial, especially today, because it is quite hot out. If you know that. But thank you, everyone, for joining for this show. So this is Fox 12 Now, and this is a new endeavor here from Fox 12 Oregon. I'm Greg Nibbler. I'm the host. I appreciate you being here with us, and we have lots of stuff that we even talked about this week, and you can find all of that on our apps, on YouTube, on the website. You can go back and take a look at all of these different interviews that we did, and we covered a lot of topics this week. So a lot of things to catch up on. If you did miss any of those, you'll want to see those. But yeah, and if you have anything that you think would be maybe benefit a deeper dive or an interview, I'm always open to ideas. You can email me, fox12oregon@kptv.com. Let me know if you have something. Feel free to send it over, and we'll take a look at it. But thanks for joining us. Again, thanks for finding us, and we'll talk to you soon.